Pro boxing fans here with leading heavyweight Bryant Jennings. Bryant, flicking through your box rec earlier, I know that you've never actually fought outside the North America as a pro. Is that correct?
No, I never have. I've only fought in America. That's the only place.
Is there a reason for that? It's just the way that the cards fell, is it? Or have you? How is it your first experience coming away as a pro to fight in a different country?
I think that's just the way things were. I had plenty aspirations at throughout the years to be able to fight overseas anywhere, and most of the time it had been London, based on the fact that the way they glorify boxing and their fans are heartfelt as a whole. It just didn't happen. Just didn't happen.
Even though you haven't fought outside the United States before, in your career, have you been into sort of not a hostile foreign territory or into someone else's backyard and got the result?
In somebody else's backyard. I went plenty places neutral. I don't really even think about that whole backyard thing. I just know that you have to go out and win convincingly, especially based on when I started and how I started. It's just like, I have to win convincingly, because if not, they're going to take the fight. So I was always taught that, by my first trainer. I was always taught that even if I was the favorite, because that just wasn't a habit that they wanted me to have, period. So don't even create the habit of putting it in the hands of the judges or not winning it convincingly. So being in somebody else's backyard, I could be in my own yard, and make it and still have the same feeling.
Before we get on to Joyce, I just want to find out a little bit more about Bryant Jennings, the man, where you come from, what neighbourhood you're from, and what sort of made you the man that you are.
Well, shoot, I don't even know if we got enough time for all that.
Give me the top line.
Yeah, but no, I'm from Philly. In the famous words of Michael Buffer, North Philly to be exact. It's tough. Just like any other impoverished area or whatever, but Philly is tough. We have tough fans. It's a fighting city. The fans are brutal, and coming from the boxing aspect, we have a long history, and those are the things that encourage me to do more. It encourages me to fight harder. It encourages me to push forward and be mentioned within the names of some of the most famous fighters that ever fought out of Philly. So that's where the passion comes from at those times. And those are some of the things that kind of kept me alive. When I felt unattracted to boxing. It was never my passion. So those are the things that I had to find, other than, business aspects and, creating opportunities, for myself and my family, Those are the things that kept me alive. So being passionate and thinking about being mentioned with the greats, and just being respected, period.
You mentioned there, Philly, great fight city. Who are your biggest boxing influences from your hometown?
Well, come on, it's a lot. And I don't even want to name any. Because if I name one, I have to name them all. But we know the depth of Philadelphia boxing history. We know the depth of the promoters, the fighters, the trainers. We know the depth of it. And anybody that's watching this interview, they already know the names that will be mentioned. And I do not want to omit anybody or do not want to overlook anybody, because there are some people who haven't made it that are still Philadelphia icons. So everybody always tends to, name the most famous and most known, but there are a lot of fighters that are from Philly that still make up the whole Philly boxing history.
Well said. Moving on to Joyce this Saturday night at the O2 Arena. What's Joyce's biggest weapon? What are you most wary of?
His biggest weapon, maybe power. Maybe I haven't felt it. Don't know what it is. Power, size. Him being a fighter. He is a weapon. He's a whole weapon. and so am I. So he has to look at me as a weapon, just like I look at him as a weapon. Because if not, then you'll be struck. You'll be struck by something that you didn't think will be able to harm you. So it's that goes without saying. Goes without saying. I don't think he possesses anything so great and so powerful that can't be figured out. It's figure outable. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at that. I have to go out there and I have to figure it out, and I have to assess it and work it and strategize around it, during the fight.
What does a victory do for your career? Which direction does it propel you in? Have you got a route in mind already?
No, I just forward. It continues. It continues. That's it. That's pretty much it. It continues. And even by saying that, without a loss, without a win, which we don't speak that into existence, that doesn't mean discontinued. I'm just saying that it's progress. Period.
Moving forward is important. Bryant Jennings, can I just finally get a reason why we should all tune in on Saturday night to watch you fight Joe Joyce?
Because it's going to be on TV. Because it's going to be on TV, and that's what people want to pay for. That's what people want to watch. And that's the reason why we built this fight up. They're going to watch it, and they don't have to be convinced to turn on the TV. Who knows? Maybe they see this interview after the fight. So, they'll be tuned in for sure.
Bryant Jennings, thank you for speaking to pro boxing fans. Best of luck Saturday night. Thanks for your time, mate.